morning. Happy Sunday. So my name is Tiffany Almeida. I'm with Pretty in Paper Crafts, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I go live every Sunday morning for coffee and a card. So happy New Year and welcome. I'm so excited for you guys to be here. I have some really cute projects to show you today that I new mini catalog. Have you guys been able to peek in the new catalog? It's so exciting. If not, I'll show you what they look like. So mine's already flagged up with all the things I want. I have lots of flags. So this is the mini catalog. It's absolutely adorable inside. I can show you inside now. And today, two of my projects I actually cased directly from the catalog. So this, and of course when I say case, I mean I took the initial idea and then I kind of went my own direction with it. So the first one is on page 7. Can you guys see? There's that, I used pigment sprinkles, but there's the card that we're going to make. I don't know, it's kind of hard to see. So if you ever are in a place where you need to get creative but you don't know where to start, or you need ideas, the catalog is always an amazing place to start. Now, along with the mini catalog that's released, this catalog is good from January through June, is a celebration catalog, and this catalog is good from January 1st through March 31st. And the really exciting thing about this is that everything in this catalog is free with a purchase of $50 or $100. So there's $50 rewards and there's $100 rewards. So something that says 50 on the corner, like this adorable meerkat stamp set, is free with a $50 purchase. And then something that has the red little thing, like the stamp set and the embossing folder, the new embossing folder, that's free with a $100 purchase. So very exciting. Let's go ahead and talk about the projects we're actually going to do today. So I have 3 projects. I didn't get to show you guys this one. This one is a little backpack. I started making all these mountain projects and I thought, oh my gosh, I need a little backpack for this little adventurer, whoever this adventurer is going on an adventure. So this is actually a very feminine suite. This is the Best Dress suite, or Dress to Impress stamp set, and then this is the All Dressed Up dies. So this set has a die to make a purse, and by tweaking it just slightly, I have turned it into a backpack. I have used the sentiments that are in this stamp set. So life is short, be bold. And this is from Life is Short, Buy the Shoes, and Be as Bold as Your Lipstick. So I took and I masked off some of the words and I did Life is Short, Be Bold. So this is our other project that we're going to be doing today. It's super, super cute. So I'm going to show you guys how to take that purse die and turn it into a backpack. And then, like I mentioned, these 2 cards are actually cased from the catalog themselves. I saw both of these cards and I thought, oh my gosh, these are absolutely stunning. How did they do these? I'm going to try. So of course mine are going to be slightly different because you know, I had to guess at some of the things that they did, but this is my version of that card, so I can't wait to show you guys. And then this one I thought, oh, this is so sweet, this little scenic view through a window, and it's really cool to layer all these different stamps and elements. So we're going to do those projects. Now, one thing I want to point out about this bundle that I think is really, really cool is that it's a reversible stamp. So basically what they're telling us is that for each stamp, you can turn it over and do a solid image on the back side. So I don't think I have any stamps in here, but for example, I'll do the mountains, for example. For example, here are the mountains. And this is the detailed etch side, so it makes, and I'll just take a scrap piece of paper so we can show you. Let's take a bigger piece. Okay, here's a good one. All right, so I'll stamp in Cajun Craze so you guys can see. So for example, you have the etch side of the mountain, which is going to give you the detail, like this. Okay? So it has the beautiful edges and ridges, and it's really, really cool. Okay, so now let's clean off the stamp. and turn it around. Okay. Now you have this solid image on the background. So we're going to ink it up again. I'm going to turn it over because it's noisy. Okay. And you can stamp it. You can overlap your mountains a little bit if you want, if you're creating a scene, or you can stamp it separate. I'm kind of overlapping. But now you have a solid mountain. So you see, you can start layering different kinds of patterns. You can start layering the tree line. So this one is a tree line that shows kind of a reflection of water. So you can do the tree line, or you can flip it over and do the solid tree line. And you can start layering and adding different textures and layers. So it's really, really a cool kind of concept of these stamps and kind of getting more out of one stamp set. Okay, so project number 2 is this nighttime sky. Now, I use pigment sprinkles, and I'm going to tell you, I actually hated my first attempt at this. This is my first attempt at this nighttime sky. And I didn't like it. I thought, this is not cute. I don't want it, but I'm just going to go with it. And if I need to make another one, I will. And when I put it all together, I was like, oh, I really like it. So even if without any of the decoration, you're like, ooh, this is gross. Not necessarily. Once you put it in to your card, you might like it. So one of the things I want to point out is I embossed this moon with Whisper White emboss powder. And then after all the pigment sprinkles, it seemed to kind of stain it yellow or orangish, which I thought was kind of cool. So it kind of turned into this orangey kind of moon, which I thought was almost appropriate. Now, in the sample in the catalog, it looks like the trees are very sparkly, and I could not figure out what they did. So I was thinking, okay, there's no such thing as sparkly black paper. Could they have used the foil paper? But then I was like, no, it's too sparkly to be the foil paper. So what I ended up doing is I ended up using Versamark and using the black shimmer emboss powder to make the stars or the tree sparkly. Now, the other thing I think you could probably do is use the shimmery crystal effects and maybe sprinkle some glitter. I'm not sure, but this was what I came up with. So I'm going to show you guys how to make this beautiful card. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is have lots of paper towels handy. This is a very messy technique, pigment sprinkles. If you've used them before, you know that they are very messy. They get everywhere, so you need lots of baby wipes, and you need to be okay with your hands being stained, or you're going to wear some gloves, because it really just is a messy technique. So I have a piece of Knighted Navy. This is our card base. Okay, so we're going to set this aside because we're not going to need that for right now. And then I went ahead and remember those trees that I showed you in this in the dies? You needed 6 trees, so I cut out 6 of these trees ahead of time. They were a pain in the butt because they have all these little pieces. And so I thought, oh, I'll do that ahead of time. So I did. And not all of the pieces popped out, but I think that's okay because I kind of like that look that not every tree is the same. And there's some more solid areas than others. And so I cut out 6 of these, and we'll be using those to do the Versamark here in shortly. So we'll set those aside. All right, so I have a piece of not the Whisper White, the Fluid 100 watercolor paper. So if you're going to be using pigment sprinkles, you need to use watercolor paper or the shimmery white cardstock will do as well. But you need a very sturdy paper for all the water that you're going to use. I always use a Stampin' Spritzer. This is a little spritz bottle. Any kind of spritzer will work. I just fill it with some water, and I'm gonna do this live on camera, so kind of scary. Okay, fill it up with water. Mine's too full. It's gonna spill over when I put the lid on it, but that's okay. That's all right. That's why we have paper towels down. Okay, so you have that full of water. The other thing you're gonna need is your aqua painter with some water in it, and I'll show you why here in a second. Okay, so the first thing we actually have to do is we have to emboss our moon while it's still a white piece of paper. So we're going to take the white emboss powder, and we're going to take the moon, and we're going to stamp it and emboss it. So you can do a solid moon. Remember, you can flip this over and do a solid moon, or you can do the detailed moon, which I think is really cool. So I want to do the detailed moon. So we're going to put Versamark on it, and we're just going to guess. Like, this is just a guessing thing. We're just going to guess that the moon goes right here. Okay, and then we're going to put embossing powder on it. And this is just white embossed powder. Dump it back in. And I'll clean that up later. We're going to heat set it real quick. Okay, so there is our starting point. We've got the moon. I know it's really hard to see, but you can see it's shiny. Now that's how you kind of know that the embossing powder has been heated, is when it turns shiny like that. Okay, and then I have my pigment sprinkles, and they're super messy because I use them a lot, and there's just going to be, my hands are already getting stained just from touching the box. The crystals are everywhere. Now the 3 colors that I used were Melon Mambo, Gorgeous Grape, and Bermuda Bay. I mean, they're just a hot mess. I probably should take some time to clean these guys, but it's just messy. All right, so what I did is I just sprinkled these in no particular order or you know, no rhyme or reason, just sprinkling the pigment sprinkles around. So I've got Melon Mambo. You can hardly see the pigment sprinkles, but they are there. Believe me, you do not need a lot. They are there. Okay, so I just take my pigment sprinkles, I open the cap, and I just lightly tap and let some fall. You do not want a lot, because once you start getting a lot of crystals, it's hard to get them out of, like, get them all to dissolve with the water. And then you have a bunch of flaky chunks on your cardstock. So just a little bit goes a really long way. Okay, so again, I'm just making sure the whole paper's covered in color. And then I'm going to take my spritzer, and this is when the magic happens. This is when it comes alive. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, the more water you use, and the more you spray, the more diluted the color becomes. And the more you need, it gets muddy. Or the more you use, it gets muddy. So just be patient with it and be flexible, because every single time you do it, it's going to be a little bit different. So I'm just going to activate these crystals with water. And every time you do this night sky, it's going to be different. Okay, so obviously I'm going to want my night sky to be a little bit darker than this. Now the bottom seems to be very dark, but the top seems to be really light. So I am actually tilting my paper to the side so that the color runs through here. Now I'm going to add a little bit more color here. I think I want to add a little bit more purple up here in this top corner, just to give it some more color, because I want it to be a little bit darker. You can see those pigment sprinkles, they really go a long way. Okay, and yes, your paper will curl. Now, I don't have a lot of blue going on, so I do want to add a little bit more blue. I'm going to add it over here and maybe a little bit more over here. So you can do this in layers. This is a layer thing. And you are going to get your fingers messy, so embrace the mess, okay? And if I dry this top layer and I still think it's too light or I don't like it, I can add another layer, okay? So I'm going to take this paper towel and I'm going to dab at the moon, because I just want to get the extra water off of the moon. Now this moon has a little bit of pink and blue going on in it. That's okay. So let's go ahead and heat set this and see what we've got, and then we'll determine whether we want to add more color, okay? Okay, now here's the determining factor. So I really like that there's lots of different colors in the sky. but I feel like it's still just a little bit too light for me. The colors are just not dark enough, so I'm going to add some more color. So I'm going to add more blue and more purple and more pink. Okay, and again I'm going to activate those colors. And then let's not let the water run off so much this time. Let's actually heat dry it while the color's sitting here, and we'll see what we get. Again, I'm just dabbing the extra color out of the moon and just gonna run the color over the top a little bit. All right, let's go ahead and heat set that, because I do like the darker look. Okay, so I feel like the color's a lot brighter and more vibrant, and I'm happy with it. So what I'm gonna do is, now that it's dry, I'm gonna take my aqua painter and I'm gonna get the tip really wet, okay? And I'm actually going to flick water onto my paper. And what this is gonna do is going to create spots that are gonna be lighter in color. So there is water droplets on the paper. You can see the water droplets. I'm gonna take a paper towel and I'm gonna dab on those water droplets. Now look at what it does. It adds these spots that could be stars, right? So that is a really cool way to create more texture in the background with pigment sprinkles or watercolors. Okay, now the key to that though is that your paper has to be dry, and then you'll sprinkle that water. Now, I still want some more shimmer in my card. It's my shimmery paint. This is the little, remember the shimmery paint? And you are going to take some onto your brush. So this is, you're going to use your aqua painter. Okay. Put paint on your brush. Take your lid and use it to tap that paint onto your project. And you can do as much or as little as you want. I seem to be getting it everywhere, but except where I want. It kind of takes some practice. There we go. Okay. So you'll just wipe, make sure you clean off that paint so it doesn't dry and ruin your brush. So you'll just squeeze water and brush it all off. Okay? And then you'll definitely want to dry the paint so that it doesn't smear when you're working with it. Okay. So that's our background. What do you think? Doesn't look like much yet, right? It just kind of looks like a night sky at this point. So I'm going to put the pigment sprinkles away, and then we'll heat dry this this shimmer paint. Okay, so we're going to set this aside while it dries because we have quite a bit more to do. So the next thing that we have to do, and I'm going to get a piece of scrap paper here. Let's see. Let's use an orange. Okay, so we have these trees that we have to do something with, right? So what I did was I took, and you can see I didn't push out all the little pieces. So some of the trees still have, you know, some pieces in them. I think it kind of looks cool that way. If that bothers you, you can just push out all those pieces. Okay. So what I ended up doing to make these trees sparkle is I took my Versamark ink and I inked up the trees with Versamark. So every single tree is covered in Versamark. Okay. And I recommend using tweezers when we get into this a little bit. Okay, so now they've all got Versamark on them. I'm going to use my tweezers. My grandma gave me these tweezers and I love them. She got them at the craft store. So we have tweezers here, and we have that black shimmer embossing powder. This powder is so cool. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour it over every single one of these trees. You can even dip it. And you're just going to get all those trees sparkly. Tap off the extra. And it's kind of messy, but it's totally worth it. Totally worth those sparkly trees. We'll dip it. Dip, 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 dip. And last but not least, definitely want to have a scrap of paper underneath. Okay. Whoop, this one. Okay. Oh, and I feel like the bottom didn't get done. Okay. Alrighty, so now we're going to heat set this again. Let me dump this black shimmer paint or shimmer embossing powder back into the tub. And it's just messy stuff, let me just tell you guys. Did I tell you we were going to make a mess today? It's okay. That's what crafting spaces are for. Alright, so now what we're going to do is take that heat tool and we're going to heat set all of these. Okay, I think we're done making a mess. So now we have our trees. And we have, okay, so the next thing we have to do is we take this piece of Night of Navy, and I just want to make sure that it's cut to, it needs to be cut to 5 1/4. So just want to make sure it's cut to 5 1/4. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to stamp the mountains and the tree line. So the mountains and the tree line in Night of Navy, onto the Night of Navy. So we're going to do them separately because the mountains we're going to cut out and the tree line we're going to cut out. So we're going to put this on a block. I'm going to do one on each side. So I have our Night of Navy ink. Ink up our mountains. Okay. And it is going to be, it's actually going to fit in perfectly. Very nice. Okay, so we've got our mountains. And then we're going to stamp our tree. Let me get a baby wipe. Where's my baby wipe at? There it is. Clean this off. Oh, clean this off real quick. Look how messy my fingers are getting. This is a messy, messy technique. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the tree line. And with the tree line, we want it to be about, again, like 2 inches. So we'll stamp 2 inches up from the bottom of this straight line here. Right about there should be good. Okay, so we've got our tree line. Now we're going to do the die cutting again, and we're going to cut out both of those pieces. Let me put this away. And get our dies out. So we have the tree line and the mountains this time. Okay. Big shot. Okay. Let me move this guy out of the way. You don't need to see him drying. He can just dry off to the side. All right, so we have our mountains. Put our mountains down. And our tree line. And you'll just line that up as best you can. And run it through. There are so many endless combinations and different things that you can do with this suite. I just fell in love with this suite. It's so cool, you guys. I don't want you to think it's intimidating. You know, my projects, when I case the catalog, are quite detailed, but they don't have to be. It's not something that's required. So, I mean, they can be simply gorgeous cards, or they can be super detailed like this. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue my mountains down. Uh-oh, my liquid glue is dying. Glue my mountains down, and I got it all over my fingers for whatever reason. And just glue this across, and I just want my moon to be peeking through. Now, how cool is that? Isn't that really cool, just to see the moon behind the mountains? That's all I've done so far. Let's just glue that down. Gosh, it looks like a galaxy. So cool. All right, and then we have our tree line, which we'll glue down. And I want to push my my mountain up a little bit if it's not stuck. Nope, it's stuck down. That's fine. Okay. So now we're going to do our tree line. Okay. I could bring my tree line down and then trim. I'll do that instead. I'll just trim off the extra. So I have this extra here that I'm going to trim. I'm going to use my scissors. So you can change the length of your tree line if you wanted to. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is glue these sparkly trees down. And I really liked how they had the tree, one tree in the example in the catalog, one tree was going right up over the moon. And I thought that was really cool. So I'm going to do a tree that's tall enough. Let's do this one. So I'm just going to put glue all along the back side. And they are going to go below the card line. So that is why I haven't glued it down to the base yet, because I'm going to trim off all the tree bottoms that don't go all the way. Okay, so I've got one tree glued down, and then it's just a matter of placing all the rest of the trees. And I thought I had 6 trees. 1, 2, oh, I do. Okay. Just losing my mind is all. So you can see here, and I should have done my label first, but that's okay. We'll just, this one won't be touching the label. So there's a tree. We'll do a tall one here. These sparkly trees are so cool though. I just love it. We'll do one up here. Bring it down a little bit because I know it's going to touch that label. And we'll do one. Oh, come on. Just putting glue on the back of it. And I'm going to put it right over here. Nothing says the trees can't overlap slightly, right? We'll put this one right down here. He's the shorter of the bunch. And this guy. Right about here. Okay, so now that we've got our trees glued down, now we can take it and trim off the bottom. Oh, I lost a tree. Tree down. Stay put, please. Okay. And we're going to trim off these trees. Now, if I make you this card, it's because I love you. Because this is a lot of work, but it's so beautiful. Paper trimmer and tree trimmer, yeah, or paper tree trimmer. Ooh, how about that? Paper tree trimmer. That's a tongue twister. All right, I have to take a break here and clean all the glue and gunk and embossing powder and everything that has accumulated on my fingers. Look. I'm just going to kind of wipe, because those sprinkles get everywhere, even where you don't think they got. All right, so now we've got kind of the basic portion of our card. I'm going to dry off. Now we can glue it down to our base. Now, I recommend when you do watercolor and the paper is kind of warped a little bit, I recommend using tear and tape to glue it down because it's a very strong adhesive. You could do liquid glue too, but too much liquid glue can warp your paper as well. So just making sure you use a very strong adhesive. So like I said, I'm going to use tear and tape because that doesn't let me down. Okay, and then we'll just glue this down to the center. Look how pretty the sky is. Gorgeous. Okay, and then we're going to take our piece of Whisper White. So I cut a piece of Whisper White, and I have a piece of Balmy Blue that's going to go behind it. But I have a piece of Whisper White that we're going to stamp the sentiment. Now the sentiment, believe it or not, is from the set Free as a Bird. And it says, "The world needs more of you." And I thought that was a really, really cool sentiment. And I thought it went really well with this beautiful scenic background because it said, "The world needs more of you." And it's just gorgeous. So I'm actually going to emboss this in silver embossed powder. Because I think that's what they did with their sentiment on the sample card. I'm telling you, whoever made this sample, they went all out. You can, I mean, there's some beautiful cards. You guys know how beautiful the cards are in the catalog. And so you can make some beautiful cards just by casing the catalog. Okay, so grab this. Probably should get in the screen so you guys can see what I'm doing. Oop, come back. Okay, so there's our sentiment. I'm gonna have to clean it off because I didn't use my embossing buddy first. Okay. Oop, he stuck to my sticky fingers. Tap the embossing powder. Okay, and then we are going to heat set this. So I'm going to hold it with the tweezers and heat it one more time. Okay. Then I'm doing that lazy dovetail again. Lazy dovetail. Cut down the middle and then cut from the sides. Okay. And then I'm going to glue this to the back of, or glue it to the front of the Balmy Blue, I should say. The world needs more of you. And then put some glue on the back of that and put it on our card. So pretty. And I love it. I love how both of these backgrounds turned out. They, like I said, are going to be different every time you do it. And look at how cool this card is. So fun. So that's project number 2. Again, cased directly from the catalog. Guys, you aren't going to believe this. I'm going to show you. Maybe hopefully you can see it. Maybe not. See that red spot? There's also a blue spot, but it started to dissolve. Pigment sprinkles in my coffee. It made it into my coffee, you guys. That's just crazy. But if you wanted all 3 of my projects from today's Facebook Live, you would just need to place an order on my online store. All of the information is located in this top corner here. Can you guys see the corner? WASCUMWJ. So you can get all of those projects by placing a $35 order. If you up it to $50, then you get a free celebration item and a free gift of those Poppy Parade elements, the Peaceful Poppies elements from me for free. So lots of free. Thank you guys so much for watching today and playing along and getting messy. Look at my messy hands. Just the way I like it. Thank you guys so much and have a fabulous week, and we will see you next week for more fun. Hopefully I'll see you guys Friday for more Mountain Air Bundles projects on my new Pretty AF group. All right, guys. Bye.